everybody. Welcome to the Hallmark Movies podcast. And we are really excited today. We are here to talk about Drop Dead Diva season 6, the final season. And it's been so much fun so far talking about Drop Dead Diva, these long episodes. But I'm Pumpkin Rachel Wagner, and Jasmine's here.
Hey, everybody.
How are you doing?
Oh my goodness. I can't believe this, you guys. This is what called binging is like. When you're binging the last season finale, you're like, can I hold on?
I know. I know. I felt sad after I finished. I was like, oh.
I was like, I have questions. And fun fact, you guys, Hallmarkies out there, this is the first time ever that I actually watched the full season of season 6. Because I was watching it at the time. Yeah, no, true story, you guys. Because I was watching it live up until, I don't know what happened in between that moment and call. I don't know what happened, but I literally missed season 6. And I probably never one episode from that. So I watching everything in real time. Like, what did I just witness?
You didn't know the ending? You didn't know how it ended?
No.
Oh my god.
I did not know how it ended. And
well, y'all, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, we definitely need to talk about this.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start out. Drop Dead Diva season 6, episode 1. It's called Truth and Consequences. And as she struggles to find out how much Grayson knows about her and Deb, Jane uncovers a dark secret that could land a client in prison. Old tensions are renewed when Owen's estranged brother asks him to sue a strip club. So we were talking off air that this season had all the Hall stars. Yes. Practically every episode had somebody who's been in Hallmark movies.
And I lost count maybe after 20 because I'm sitting here like every episode like this person's on this, either a Hallmark Channel, Hallmark Movie Mysteries, like either drama, like I don't know how they did this. It was just kind of a blessing in disguise in a way where Drop Dead Diva, not even knowing at the time where these stars were, that probably maybe got their first start here or there, but ending up being half either the cast from Hallmark Network being on this show.
Well, I guess it makes sense when you think about it, because this was on Lifetime and this was 2014, which was right when Countdown to Christmas was kind of, I don't know if it was officially started 2014, but definitely 2015 it was. 2014, 2015 is like right around when they were officially starting. So it kind of makes sense in a way. But this one we got Colin Egglesfield.
I'm sitting here like we have like stars like from like Holly. I am like sitting here like, I'm like, this is it. Like they're going out with a bang.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that was always an impressive thing about the show is how many guest stars they were able to get.
Yes.
I mean, even the first season to get Liza Minnelli and Delta Burke and
Rosie,
Rosie O'Donnell, Paula Abdul. I mean, for being a cable show that was, fairly small and never got like Emmy recognition or things like that, they were able to really get a lot of guest stars.
It's like, for sure. If you guys have not listened to Josh's interview with Rachel, I highly recommend you listening to that
definitely
interview. Like those 40 minutes, we're gonna give you life. We're gonna give you all the TV, all the feels, and you're gonna sit here like, oh my god, this is how the characters. This is how everybody was connecting. Even though it was on Lifetime where it originally started, it was where you have people who are on the shows crossing in. That's how you promoted other shows within the Lifetime universe. But the fact that we're getting it here on Hallmark and not knowing where it is now, I'm like, wow, these up and coming stars or stars who've been in the game for so long are here, and you're like, wow, like now it makes sense why Drop Dead Diva is on, Hallmark Movies Mysteries.
Yeah, and they've even been doing like little videos on social media and stuff with like basically a Hallmark star on Drop Dead Diva, like a whole bunch of different ones. And but yeah, so this episode we have Owen's brother Charlie, played by Colin Egglesfield, coming back into town. They haven't seen each other in years. And basically there's this like rate a gentleman's club website, and he gave a bad score to this stripper and now they're like suing him. They want him to take the review down. He refuses. And he says that they stole his wallet, and then he gives Owen a $3,000 check, and everything gets very, very messy after that.
It sure does.
What do you think of Colin in this role?
Oh my gosh. At first I was like, when they were mentioning, like describing who it was, Terry, like, who was it? Luke? Someone was describing him in the episode, like who it was. Yes, because we were watching it, I know. And I was like, don't tell me it has to be a brother. Don't tell me this, because we already see like some of his family members. We were talking about his sister.
Yeah.
And we find out it was his
brother. That's true. We did
like,
see his sister. I forgot that.
So I'm just sitting here like, oh my gosh, like, are we keeping secrets that we don't know about? Like, this is like a 12-year secret.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seemed like quite the elaborate scam that, so he's gonna sue, he's gonna put this bad review on, then they're gonna get sued, then he's going to be able to demand the video from the club, and that video is going to have the mayor on with a stripper, and that he's going to be able to sell that video to alisters.com, basically TMZ kind of thing. And they gave him a check, and then that's what he used to pay Owen back. And so then now he needs an attorney to defend him against the scam. And so yeah, it's that family drama was crazy. And then guys, like when we got to like the pivotal like climax of the middle of the episode, when Stacey's involved, like, oh, I just met you, like, you know, mind you, Owen and Stacey were not really dating at this time frame of what's going on. And that's true.
Debacle between, was it Owen, Jay,
because Charlie's
and the brother, I was like, OMG, it was hilarious.
That's true, because Charlie's going on a date with Stacey. He doesn't know that
she's pregnant.
With his babies. With Owen's babies.
My uncle's I guess my baby dad's uncle. I'm like, oh, this is awkward.
Yeah. So yeah, it's an interesting situation, and of course Stacey doesn't know. She has no idea that that's Owen's brother.
No one, even Jane, because she was upset too. I'm like, wait a minute, we're gonna get engaged. We're gonna get married. We have a brother. I was like, I don't know, Jane. You didn't tell me you were dead, but we digress because you couldn't tell.
Well, so Grayson is mad at Jane about this reveal, mad at her for being Deb and not telling her. And basically, like, the reason she didn't tell him was because he wouldn't believe her first, but also because they didn't think that they needed him to fall in love with her as Jane, just as Jane, not as Deb. But yeah, I mean, can you understand where Grayson's coming from, why he would be, I mean, how could you even like imagine what this is like? But what did you think about that with this conflict?
It's like a double-edged sword, where you're sitting here like, I thought we were, you know, in this relationship, like we were this one, and you know, like he mentioned it. He was this episode or next episode. He mentioned like, I was grieving for a whole year. Like you watched me do this. Like why were you not confining me? It's like, when I think about it, it's like if something happened to me, if I died, who's probably do I go to? My family, or like my significant other, or my best friend? Who really actually gonna believe me, not write me off as a crazy cuckoo?
I mean, he was grieving, yes, but he also got engaged and almost got married to Vanessa.
Let's talk about that year.
So we can't get that mad at.
And you ain't Kim, and James, like,
and Kim. That's right.
Like your secretary, like Kim's secretary, Nicole was her name.
Yeah, Nicole. Like, I mean,
you're busy during your first year.
He has been very busy.
Trying to grieve. You're grieving through you know, sexual relations.
Yeah. He's been busy. Yes. And so then we have this whole thing with this lunch lady, Ella, And turns out that well, she's upset because they're cutting the funding for kids and lunches, and then she had given them like ID, and it turns out she has like invalid ID, and that she is actually on terrorist watch list. And she had taken bullets from a base, an army base, because her son got killed in Iraq and she was against the war. And she's been hiding out for all these years.
It was 10 years, y'all. Like, it, man, like for me, I, for her defense, she said this is patriotic. People, I'm not sure how. I need to check the watch list and see how many people have done stolen bullets and stuff, but they probably have, patriotically wise. But I'm just sitting here like, man, like she did the hideout. She checked. I'm the part that no one else noticed her, like, when she said, "Oh, yeah, I'll check my husband's Facebook." I'm like, during that time, I'm like, people will know you online.
Well, yeah, especially if you're working for a school, I would think that they would do background checks and at least check if you had valid ID.
Maybe, I'm not sure about, was this, I think the school was private.
Oh, was it?
I believe so, because it's different. Yeah, it was private. Because public school, private school is totally different from public school when it comes to the type of rules.
But why would they have
fingerprint?
Why would they be worrying about funding then? For I mean, they said that the government had cut funding for the school lunches. I think it was a public school.
No, because I think they're trying to figure out the budget and running the numbers, so they just cut it through the numbers. But I'm just saying, like, every school, because maybe every state is different, no, but I know here in California, we're here to go to school, but they got good attendance. They get about $4,000 per kid.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it would be unusual to have like so many poor kids going to a private school, though.
Yeah, and it's just
so I think it was a public school, and they took away the funding and for the free lunches, and so she's trying to get it back, but then they find out who she is, and they strike this deal with her with the DA, but then the DA comes back on the deal, and she's going to get 3 years in prison, and then Jane says the government used me to get to you. And then there's also this guy that wants the story rights to Ella's story for a movie. And I thought that Brooke Elliott was so funny in those scenes. She's
oh my goodness.
Like, well, you can make it about me.
Exactly. I'm like, I was like, oh goodness. But can we talk about Paul? Because the fact that they revisit kind of basically the first episode of season 1, like, I really just watched Legally Blonde. Are we doing the bend and snap? Yeah.
Well, I mean, you did kind of forget that he's still living there. I don't know why he couldn't have gotten an apartment. I guess he's not being paid by the firm.
No, he's the intern, and I'm surprised he didn't get a full job like Fred did. At least Fred was paying for rent and paying for groceries.
I can see why Grayson is like weirded out by this. Like, it is strange to have this grown man sleeping on their couch permanently.
Like literally, Fred got a job, paid the bills, helping out. Like they were carpooling. They were having these conversations. I don't know where Luke is, like not Luke, but Paul, where he's at in life. But like, he, I guess, was the last resort. No one else gonna take the job as Jane's angel. Like, all the rules just went out the window at this point. It's just like, I don't care. Until later on in the season, we're talking about more about his his obligation still of his identity, but like he's just like living his best life.
yeah. Well, so then they make a deal to get 3 years for Ella, but then she sees her husband for the first time in like 10 years. Yes. And then Grayson says, "Who are you?" She says it's me, I'm Deb.
Yeah.
And I can see
episode 1 went like, this is how you open up out of all the first episodes of each season. We love our guests first, but this right here brought spice, tea, Legally Blonde, everything in between.
Yeah, and I can see why Grayson would be confused, because it is Deb inside,
yes,
but it's also got all the knowledge and experience of Jane. So it's not really Deb as he knew Deb. It's like this new person.
Yes,
so that would be very confusing.
just like how like people evolve over the year, like from high school, and you have seen a couple of years, maybe 10-year reunion, 15-year reunion, run into each other, and you're like, oh my gosh, you elevated, you grew since high school, or you became more the opposite from high school, or we knew you were going to be that same person.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just like it is a kind of a new person. And she has like I think a new confidence because of the knowledge that Deb didn't have. So it would be a very confusing situation to be in.
Because remember from season 1, the first couple episodes, Jane, we didn't know about Jane at all. She was just like, didn't have the confidence, anything. Remember how she was telling Jane, who's in Brittany, like, yeah, I got you a better bra. I like, just even confidence, like that bullying, even giving Brittany confidence, how to walk, how to do, like, because maybe Jane was not, her best. Like, she's always a studious student. And
wait, who's Brittany? Who's Brittany again? Remind me.
Brittany is OJ. Remember, she was a model. Remember, she died on that freak accident. And then
was that her name? Was that her name, Brittany?
Yeah, it was Brittany.
Oh, okay, you're right. Yeah,
it was Brittany.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, she showed up really upset about not letting you know about her mom.
Yeah, that wasn't in season 1 though.
No, it was in season 5 though.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Remember when you had the elevation of when she first started as Deb.
Yeah, so it's become this combination of the two, really. Well, what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
I'm definitely gonna give this episode, I want to say a 9, because it just hits the door running, like boom, boom.
Yeah, I agree. I thought this was a fun one.
Ho, ho, ho! We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies Patreon.
Do you love Hallmarkies podcast, especially at Christmas?
Do you enjoy the holiday previews, recaps, interviews, and bonus episodes?
If the answer is yes, please consider supporting the Hallmarkies Patreon. We need your help to do what we do both during the Christmas season and all year round.
But not only do you help a podcast led by strong, independent women by becoming a Patreon, you get to become a part of the Hallmarkies family.
Starting at only $2 a month as a patron, you will have access to our Facebook Patreon group where we talk about the movies, shows, and more all year.
We also have many monthly patron watch-alongs with guests like Lacey Chabert, Natalie Hall, Paul Campbell, Mary Lou Henner, and more, giving their behind-the-scenes details of their films.
As a patron, you also have the chance to provide input into the podcast and even join us at different tiers.
So this Christmas season, spread some cheer to the Hallmarkies Patreon and become a member today. You won't regret it.
Go to patreon.com/Hallmarkies to learn more.
That's patreon.com/Hallmarkies.
Next episode is called Soulmates. And this one is while Jane fights for an innocent man's parole, Grayson and the firm's new lawyer claim a cruise ship line's negligence caused their client's divorce, and Grayson confronts the truth about Deb and Jane. So what do you think about this episode?
Oh my goodness. This episode, I'm still like really from last episode. I'm sitting here like, we're watching piracy happening. We have Belinda coming in.
Yeah, there was a lot going on in this episode.
Yes, and also we have to, congratulate Kim, because we have to mention last recap, she had her baby.
She had her baby.
That's why Belinda's here. She had a boy. Congratulations from the Hallmarky podcast.
Yeah, we have the Virginia Williams as Belinda, and I love her. I think she's so good. Yeah, she's a good actress. And Then it was kind of sad watching this though, because you have Twitch
I
as the
know.
client,
R.I.P.
and
Twitch.
yeah, which is so sad. And Corbin Blue playing Twitch's brother.
Yeah.
And that was good casting. They definitely felt like they could
They
be
did.
brothers.
Also, Hallmarkies, fun fact, like Corbin Blue was like my second like crush off of Disney Channel. Okay, my first crush was Lee Thompson-Young, R.I.P. Lee Thompson-Young, who played Jet off of Jet Jackson. And then I found Corbin Blue. But I watched him before High School Musicals, you guys. Which
You're early.
Yes, I was watching him on he was on this TV show. It was like Flight 22 or Flight. It was like these kids, kind of like the Lost situation, but it was like
Okay.
the kid version of it.
Mm.
So I watched it from there, and then that's how. Yeah, but I was watching Corbin Blue, and he was my boyfriend in my mind.
Yeah. So basically, his brother's been in prison for this murder, and he's on parole, or he's trying to get parole, and so they're trying to help him, and that he had been fed this apology by his attorney that things weren't, and that Owen was the judge, one of his first cases that he tried.
Man.
Yeah. And so Owen gets upset. He won't discuss the case with Jane. And then she subpoenas Owen. So things were getting pretty fun.
Hold on. No, it's the way he got subpoenaed.
Yeah, that was fun. And ends up going to trial, and they see this like blood splat, and that's how she figures out that I forget. They're all kind of meshing together, these cases, but
I know
she figures something out from the blood splat.
So basically what happened is that Corbin Blue's character, the Rose in jail, he hurt himself on at work, so they weren't going to pay him workman's comp, so he got fired on some stuff. So apparently they believe that the wife that the restaurant owner was killed prior to the fire, and since Grayson worked before being the lawyer in like the kind of like the office though, but he was the guy who looked at all the photos and stuff. So he brought his little magnifying glass out, movies and mysteries, and look at it, like it's really off. Like, yeah, those are blood splotches. This is from a guy who did it with the right hand. You see how the splotches go? But wait, my client's had a broken arm on his right arm, so he can do it. So that's what happened with that. Because he's upset at Jane, by the way, you guys. So he's like, doing my office.
Well, at first they think that Twitch did it.
Yes.
And then they realize I forgot to put down who did it. Do you remember?
It was the husband, you got. It was the husband. Because the reason that it was the husband, because Jane saw this memorabilia that supposedly got destroyed was not in the fire. It was hanging on the guy's wall.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right.
Like, get out of my house, because I'm not going to support him because he killed my wife. And Jay saw the serial number and matched it with the photo that was in the original picture that he had. So that was missing.
Mm-hmm.
And also the wife used to, like, basically I guess she had carbon monoxide. So we thought, oh, she just died in the fire. No, she was killed because she's a smoker through her old medical records. Through the lines on her, like her face, around her face, because she smoked twice a day. And I don't know how I remember that early this morning.
Yes. So
I have a little mind race of Jane right now.
So then the other case is with this couple that went on this horrible cruise, and basically they ended up breaking up after the cruise because of such trauma. And they're suing for emotional distress, and then the couple get arrested for piracy, for stealing from the pantry of the cruise, and
things happen on high seas, you guys. I can't say my experience on a cruise because I have not been on a cruise yet. That's my goal, to get on a cruise. But just hearing this story and other things that happen, how pirates out there jumping on ships, You know,
Well, I have been on 2 cruises. One was a 3-day, one was a 7-day. And I have to say, it's not really my jam. I think I would enjoy the Disney cruise because it's more sort of family friendly and less of like the casino kind of atmosphere.
mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it's fun because like everything is planned out for you. But the days at sea were kind of a drag because the pools are super crowded, so you can't really enjoy that. And everything's just kind of crowded. So if you're not into like casinos, then that kind of a thing, then it just isn't the best. But I think it would be fun for cruises. Like I said, the Disney cruise I think would be fun, but of course it's really expensive. But I also think there's a cruise where you can go to all of the Hawaiian Islands.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you have you don't have any days at sea. Each day is a day in the islands. And
No, I think I
I think
saw
that would
that cruise before. They have to I think I saw something like that a
yeah,
couple
I
of
think
years
that would be
ago.
really fun because there's a lot of those smaller islands that people rarely visit. And I think that would be fun to get to see each of, and so you wouldn't have any days at sea, you would have all days at port. And so that's the when I think a cruise would be fun, but it is a very economical way to travel because it includes like all your food, all
Mhm.
your, I mean, then you can add on stops at when you're at your destinations. You could add on, and I did on my cruises, I added on some stuff, but it is a pretty cheap way to travel to vacation if um because it includes like everything, and it's also like really easy. You don't have to, it's all just done for you. It's not because some vacations, you got to work really hard in planning everything and what you're going to do, and it is kind of nice with the cruises that you just sign up and that's it. You
I
just
know,
go.
like I know, like my
That's
thing,
nice.
like on my grandmother's side, like my cousins are planning their cruise for Carnival. I'm like, I do want to go though, but my heart wants to go on a Disney cruise and just live my Disney cruise life. And
Yeah.
there's one group with these girls and guys in Disney. They're like, they just got back from their group trip. I'm like, what if having someone made like a cruise for 21 and up? Like, we love the kids, but we're big kids at heart. Like, can we do the big kids version of Disney and have fun and do what we want to do? But
Mhm.
me
Yeah,
and
but
mother
it's like
definitely plan to
double.
cruise.
It's way more the Disney cruises than the other cruises. So that's but you get to go to you get to Castaway Key, you get to go to they have a whole island just for the Disney cruise, and there's Disney movies on board and stuff like that. So I would love to go on the Disney cruise someday, but it is a lot more than the others.
Whew.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but this cruise was a nightmare. It was a huge problem, and so they get arrested at this point for stealing from the pantry because things got so bad, and then let's see here. Um, so then Jane tells Grayson that I didn't tell you because I didn't think you would love me like this. And he
Mm.
says, "You underestimated me, you underestimated us."
What,
So, which is true.
like,
He's
like,
right.
like, she did have those insecurities, like those moments of, like, how would he see me? Like, we had these conversations from season one with Stacy. Like, how could Gracie, love and fall with me?
Well, and that
He
hurts him
did.
even more that like she told Stacy, but she didn't tell him,
Mm-hmm.
which is totally true. That if that mean they have to have this as the plot for the show to make it work. But
Yes.
if you think about it, like your fiance would hopefully believe you even more than your best friend. But
Maybe, like, we never know, like, because we never had that theory or that, opportunity to now to talk about it. Like, what if you could have closed the door in my face? Or you thought I was like crazy for, like,
mhm.
you know.
Yeah, but I see why he's so upset though.
Yeah, like, I thought we were confiding in each other. Like, he about to propose though. He was going to propose to Dad.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I think it was in that same week or something like
Yeah.
that. Like,
Yeah.
all this stuff, but she was the first person that would go, that she wouldn't do to go. But, I kind of get where Grace was coming from. At the same time, it's like, how will you know if you would have shunned her or not? Because Stacey probably like, getting quizzed, like, how do you know this? And boom.
Well, and she was obeying the rules. And she did try to tell him on a couple times, but then it was always
he got getting hurt.
Yeah. So then the piracy case gets dismissed. The couple gets back together.
Yes.
And then Grayson says, I can't imagine walking away from the two women I ever loved. Would you like to go out with me? Because I'd like to go out with you. So that was cute.
I cried on the episode. It's like, oh my gosh. I was like, really?
Yeah, it was pretty cute. Pretty cute. So then Owen is going on a date with Belinda.
Yes, because remember, I think because Paul was a find someone that blends in like Jane and Stacey, because Stacey turned Owen down. So he's trying to find a hybrid of the both.
Yeah, because Stacey is worried that if they break up, then that'll be too hard on the kids, and which is kind of silly, but nevertheless, it kind of makes sense that Belinda would be like the in between Jane and Stacey.
Yeah,
she's like a lawyer, but she's kind of bubbly and blonde, so I guess it makes sense. But
yeah.
But anyway, what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
I'm definitely giving this episode an 8.5, because now I'm seeing the piracy, like what happened on a Disney cruise, and you're living out their Peter Pan life. I just know who's gonna play Peter, which probably was the husband in this case.
Yeah.
Same.
All right. The next episode is called First Date. And its tensions arise between Jane and Belinda as they defend an out-of-control aging rock star against being expelled from his band. Grayson fights to save a graffiti-strewn low-income apartment building from a greedy developer by claiming it's a work of art. Now, usually I say that I really don't care that much about the cases. They're fine, but like my interest in the show is the characters and the other stuff. The cases are just
there,
kind of a means to an end. You need them to get through it, but this one, I think both of these are pretty good cases, I would say.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
like you have the rock star life, and you fight over the band. Like, oh my god, it's like one of my favorite like band like artist episodes, to be honest with you, because I have to say this. Can we get who has the song? Like, did they make a full recording of the song? Because I need that on my playlist.
Yeah. Yeah, there aren't any real songs in the last 2 seasons. They kind of stopped with the musical numbers, which I don't know why they did that, because that was really fun.
But this episode filled that void for me, and I want to like, I'm the fan, like I love it.
Yeah, it got Rick Springfield.
Like, it's my song.
You're Rick Springfield stan then?
I guess I am. I am. AKA Liam, like Matthew. Yeah. I am a rock star.
And so basically he's going to have 80 hours of community service, and but they still want him out of the band, and he keeps getting these shakes. Things keep getting worse, and they claim that it's drugs, but it turns out that the doctor didn't tell him that he has Parkinson's, the start of Parkinson's, and they were trying to get him kicked out of the band. And that was, I'm trying to that they let's see here.
This is the fact of the manager, because he wrote about it. He wrote another report that he didn't have Parkinson's, and the fact that he kept on the medical, they want to pay all the premiums and stuff. So it was kind of like, not only were you trying to like not pay premiums, but also you're putting someone's life at risk.
Yeah.
Or it could be like, help them on their way. Is Parkinson's disease not curable, or is like medicated? I can't remember.
I mean, I think there are things they can do to help.
By case?
I think there are things they can do to like help with the symptoms,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think there's like a cure for it. But yeah, and then they're kicking him out of the band.
They thought that the bandmate's girlfriend was behind it, but it was the manager because she was blinded as
Mhm.
well.
And the first Jane charges the partner of the band with palimony
Mhm.
for that they're basically like a married couple because they spent so much time together.
Like where you're like, I'm thinking about all these bands and like artists, like especially if they're in groups, like they are definitely like have this bromance or sisterhood situation. Like
Yeah.
we've been there through the trenches, we slept in hotel rooms, we ate off each other's food, we were
Yeah.
we're in this moment. We did bankruptcy together.
It's like a common law marriage.
Yes. Okay. And in the song that they wrote, which like I said, it should be a full song. I want to download it. Hey, y'all talk about y'all relationship of like being there for each other. I was just like, this romance right here.
Yeah. So then we also have this case that Grayson is over with this complex that's trying to get gentrified, kicking the people out that are there now. Turns out there's this famous graffiti artist that had sprayed on the building. So first, that's the case is to try to they try to declare this as a work of art, so you can't. And then once they win that, they said, oh well, then they're going to use it in the publicity of the building, and they're still going to kick everybody out.
Exactly.
And then they have the courtroom gets vandalized. So this graffiti artist is very fast because they did this without anybody noticing. And
I mean, how long was this break? Was it like an hour or something? Or
yeah.
like how?
Very, very fast. So then so Grayson ends up in jail, and Jane has to they're gonna have this party for him. Jane takes the cake over.
No, remember their first date. It wasn't a party, it was their first date. Because she was like walking, she was like, where's Grayson? Like, he's not showing up. And he's like, wait, are you really in jail? And then wait, someone had to show up. Wait, no. Yes, because Liam showed up because he could access them his friend cards or anything because he got the band. So he's out there, ate their fish, and stuck in Stacey's room.
Oh yeah. That's right.
Living that rock star life.
Yeah. So then they have coffee. She has coffee with Kim because they hate Belinda.
Oh my god. Welcome back, Kim. Nice to see you, looking good, girl, from maternity leave.
Yeah. And they're basically able to convince the judge to declare the building a historic building, and so they get the evictions revoked. And then we find out that the girl that was staying in one of the tenants is the graffiti artist, Jessica. And then at the end, we find out that Kim is back. Mm-hmm. And you see Grayson wishing Jane good night.
Yes, and they kiss, right? I think they kissed in this episode. I was like, oh.
I didn't write that down, so I can't remember. But
yeah, no, I think they did kiss good night. I believe they did. I think they did.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is a pretty fun one. I think I'd give this like an 8.
Oh yeah, definitely an 8 for sure.
Yeah. Then we have episode 4, Life and Death. This is Grayson's childhood friend enlists him and Jane in a fight with his in-laws over where to bury his late wife. 12-year-old orphan asks Kim to adopt him. This is probably a peak Kim episode. This was really good.
This it was a tearjerker, a tearjerker for me. But within the first 5 episodes, not 5 episodes, but first 5 minutes of the episode.
Because that little kid was cute.
I thought he was I'm not gonna rob you for a second. And then he's like, I just want a family. Can you adopt me? I was like, oh gosh, I'm crying.
Yeah. Yeah. So this kind of strange kid is following her at first, and then he says, "Will you adopt me?" And so then they're going back and forth, and Kim is convinced she has the cutest baby in the world, the cutest
I
baby ever.
know. All right. Was it Noah? I think his name was Noah. But we didn't get to see the baby here
Noah,
at the end
yeah.
of the season.
hmm Yeah. So things get so complicated with this little boy. So he's going to get adopted by this family, and then and that Kim finds for him, but then the Sioux Nation
Mhm.
becomes involved, and so they want to take him, and then so then Kim ends up looking for his uh birth father, who they think was killed in he thinks was killed in Iraq.
Mhm.
Turns out he wasn't. And they find the dad, and that was very sweet. The scene where dad wants to meets Ryan. They shake
Mhm.
hands, and then he's going to end up adopting Ryan. It was very sweet.
Yeah, yeah. Make sure he be back with his biological father. But also, I love the fact that they spoke up about what's happening in the foster care system and what's happening through the cracks. Because we know, like, caseworkers are overworked, everything in between. But we're also seeing the fact that, especially the older kids, do not get a doctor versus much as the younger ones. Everybody wants to keep babies, the younger ones under 5. And you see like the older ones, how they have to age into independent livings and everything like that. And I love how they're really highlighting this and talking about, and also Kim having like this new aspiration or this new things to help foster youth find home. That she was advocating for that after just being with his case and just saying, okay, let's, how can we help? Because remember, Kim's in the court, we're talking about you deny, like, lawyers who want to help public offender, like public, with these cases, like we're here.
Yeah. Well, and
We,
Kim cries in court.
she showed it on cue,
Yeah.
by the way, on cue, because I was freaking out too. Like, wait, are you okay, Kim?
Yeah. So then also you have Grayson getting mad at Jane and saying, forbidding her from talking to the client. And she's like, forbid.
Okay.
Yeah. And he says, you didn't lose me, but I lost you,
Oh
which
gosh,
is
help
true.
me.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. So this man wants his wife to be buried in backyard. That was her wishes.
Mhm.
And I know there are like laws about that. You
Yes.
can't but they end up making the house a church, which is leg- legit. Like it takes very little to actually make a church. And in Indiana, where I went on my mission, I don't know if it's this way everywhere, but there was particularly like Baptist churches that people
Mhm.
would have like a little room in their house. And it was like, it felt like everybody was a founding member of a Baptist church in Indiana. Be like, I'm a founding member. Oh, founding member. Um, and sometimes it would literally be just like a room in their house. They would have chairs, and this is the 4th Street Baptist Church.
You know what?
Okay.
And I swear I
Yeah.
think we still have those to this day. Like we have these little small congregations.
Yeah.
But I know I didn't even look into the law of that. Like it's weird how, okay, you can't bury humans in the backyard though, but you're responsible if you find a dead body and it's your job to, figure out
Yeah.
what to put the remains. Like, no, it's true. Like we talked about this like earlier in one of the recaps about
Yeah.
another.
The one where the woman who it turns
Yes,
out at the end
yes.
is buried her husband.
Yes, because
Yeah. I thought
California
about
is
that.
so weird with this. Like, okay, we can't bury bodies, but if we find a body on our property, which it has done in the past, the owner is responsible to get rid of that body, not the coroner, not the city. Is your because it's on your property.
Yeah, so they make the house a church,
Mhm.
and they end up the making up with the parents,
Yes.
and setting everything aside. And then we also have there's also the undertaker is hired by the in-laws to take the body away. There's
Yeah,
all this back and forth, but
it's
like I
a
said, they
mess.
come to an agreement in the end.
And you know what? I'm not sure if this was like an option in the writing or not, or people may do this in real life. We probably do, but people do, split ashes and everything like that. But I was surprised, like, even though the wife wanted, this is where she wanted to be buried. The husband's like, okay, your child wants to be buried here, but anyway, we can just cremate her. I put half her remains here. You take the other half into the mortuary where they belong.
Yeah.
There had to be some kind
Do
of
people
compromise.
do that? People split ashes? I've
No,
never
they
heard
know,
of
they know,
that.
they actually do. Like for instance, like I have like my cousin passed away like, almost 2 years ago. All her siblings split their ashes, had them urns. I have
I never heard of that.
yeah,
Interesting.
and then yeah, because you can split your ashes like
Mhm.
in little containers. Like I have my little cousin, his ashes. I have 2 little necklaces of his ashes because I lose
Oh,
one. And then
interesting.
my aunt one, which is like his mom, and the rest of them she's putting it in a urn, a steel urn.
Mm-hmm. Oh, interesting. I never
Yeah,
heard of that.
you can definitely do
Yeah.
that. You can buy like either buy them online on Amazon, stuff like that, and you have the funeral home. They could put the ashes in the silk containers, and they could have them sealed up for you. Because I know in like California
Mhm.
law, you keep the ashes for a certain amount of time. We were looking it up too. It was like how you have ashes in your home and stuff like that, and what we do after the
Mhm.
ashes, and then happens to you, and we have these little plans in action of what to do.
Yeah.
So. Is it well, you can have them, please just don't eat them like the other
Yeah.
episode. Please, so I'm not gonna do that, you guys. I'm not.
Yeah.
That's kind of creepy.
So part of the problem with the boy, with Ryan, is that he's in the system as 17 incorrectly. So that's part of the
Yes.
reason why he hasn't been, you made it even harder for him to get processed and get a family.
Exactly.
And then we have Stacy watching Kim's baby,
Oh my
his
goodness.
baby ever.
Yes. We had to put the white noise on. I love how Owen is just like hands on with this 100%.
Yeah.
Because I think he has like friends and stuff who has kids and everything. So he's just jumping right in. Like my mom used to do this.
Yeah. Put on the vacuum, and that's Stacy's like, oh my gosh. And Grayson Grayson is obviously struggling with all this, and I loved the line with Stacy says, not everyone is accepting as me when it comes to metaphysical reveals. That was a good line. That's really good.
That is true.
So then we also have Paul getting this Rolls Royce for like $100 or something like that,
Like-
super cheap.
Like I wish I could find a car for $100. Like
Yeah, well, especially
my husband
Rolls
shows up,
Royces.
like I want my car back.
Rolls Royces are hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
like, cars.
That must have been petty and she was
Yeah. And it's basically this woman, she's upset with her husband, so she sells his car, and then he ends up getting a bike out of all of this.
He sure did. Originally when you saw it on Craigslist.
Yeah, because the insurance and the gas and everything is so expensive for this Rolls Royce that it's, even though he got it for $100, it's not worth it. But he ends up getting a bike.
That part. And how are you? Well, the question is, you're intern. How are you getting this money? Like no one's explaining to us how Paul's an intern and not getting paid, but he has this money.
Well, he only has that. I mean, he
probably was doing those gigs though, those modeling gigs.
Oh, right. Yeah. So you would have $100, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. But but now he could have probably just used the car for Uber. He would have done really well.
I'm not gonna lie, he probably would if he had to make sure it's clean though. Think of like he could have had his own Rolls Royce car service.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He missed out.
So
like
especially in LA. Are you kidding? In Los Angeles? That would be huge.
Driving the stars around.
Yeah.
Or even the Hallmark stars. Just saying.
That's right. So then we get a conversation between Grayson and Jane, and he says, I respected you as Deb and as Jane, but in different ways. And then we get a kiss at the end.
Oh, I remember that kiss was that. Okay.
Yeah.
The kisses everywhere, you guys.
So I give this one I would give this one an 8.5. I like this one.
Yeah, definitely an 8.5. Like, you talk about some great hit. These episodes have been. I love how the selection, because like I said, I listened to Josh's interview. Just the way he selected these cases for each of these characters, and how where they were on their journey, and they just
love
perfectly.
I think the Ryan story is really good and that's fun.
Yes, it was compelling. They didn't even have the little. You had to watch the episode. They had like the video with Stacey's directing him like how to cry on cue and stuff. But being authentic self and just understand, like, come on, we're talking about, like, I'm not trying to bring in politics into it, but about abortion laws, stuff like that. But we have kids who are here in the foster care system not getting adopted. We have a flawed system. I have friends who've gone through foster care, who've been in the system, been through group homes or recertification, like myself, and we're trying to figure out, the best way for these, these youth and young kids, especially the teenagers who don't teach out.
Well, I wondered if we were going to get Kim, adopting Ryan.
I thought so too.
Yeah, but I think what they came up with was really cute though.
They did. It was kind of like certification back, going back around, because you either adopt a child or you do recertification within someone, like someone
for
to
foster
get away.
care.
Yeah, and bring it back into their family or into a relative. And now what I felt like they did in this case.
Yeah. Calling all fans of Outlander and time travel romance, new from Gabriel Meyer, comes a dramatic time-crossing tale set in 3 separate timelines. Maggie inherited a gift from her parents that allows her to live in 1861, 1941, and 2001. Each night, she goes to sleep in one time period and wakes up in another. She faces a difficult journey to discover her true self while drawn to 3 worthy gentlemen before she must choose one life to keep and the rest to lose. Buy in this moment for 30% off and free shipping at bakerbookhouse.com. That's bakerbookhouse.com. So then the next episode 5, is Cheers and Jeers. And it's as Jane represents a professional cheerleader who says she's been bullied by her teammates. Owen counsels a family to secede to protect their home from being seized by the government. Meanwhile, Terry impersonates a lawyer to protect Paul from his creditors. This episode, the cases are completely insane.
Like,
this is so ridiculous.
They're giving a season finale episode by episode.
This whole thing where this family is going to succeed from the union in order to, because they put up these speed bumps, and now because they're unlawful, the city's charging them $75,000 to move the speed bumps, and so they. I mean, the fact that they would even think of this is insane.
Like, the city is just lazy. No, the city is lazy as hell, because from California, like, I'm gonna say this, like, I come I see this all the time. Stop being lazy. The rain did not do these potholes. We have potholes 2/3 around the town. Fix these potholes correctly, or start like repaving the pavements correctly. Like,
you don't become the nation of Maxwell. That was so funny.
They were serious. They had a president, vice president. Like, They're about to be their own royal family in a second, the way this is going.
So then they declare war on.
Okay, you can't go into the U.S. because you're your own entity. You need passports.
You need passports to leave their house, and they declare war, and they make a deal for $75,000 with the family.
You know what? This is like behind the episode where Owen did the Guinevere case with the medieval times.
That was hilarious.
These are my top 2 of like the most like controversial like laws that we have to do. Those are my favorites.
Well, and so then they also have this cheerleader things they were like fighting, and this Rosemary leaks the details on the cheerleader case. It's a friend of Jane's. And then you also have basically the cheerleaders are compared to the Sopranos, And that's a big scam in order to get publicity. This Chelsea, played by Janelle Parrish,
Yes.
Hallmarky,
If you
that this is a big
not-
publicity stunt. And like for how expensive it is to go to court and have private attorneys, there's no way that so many people would use and abuse these lawyers the way they do on the show.
You know what? They do it every day. You know how I know? I'm
That
watching
would be an
Judge
expensive
Judy,
publicity
I'm
stunt.
watching Judge Mathis. They do. And
I mean, it would just be a very expensive publicity stunt. I mean, because lawyers are so expensive.
they are. And I'm like, why? Like, I know you gotta be famous and stuff, like famous and they only in LA, which actually had a shirt. Find out.
Mhm.
But I'm just like, I'm sitting here like, she's doing her thing. Like, I love this actress. And like I said, she was in the Hallmark Miracles of Christmas, Holly and Ivy. Like,
Yeah,
I
she's
haven't
been in a
really watched
bunch.
that movie. And then she did another movie coming out too, right? No, she did last year.
Well, so
she
she was
did
in,
Movies and Mysteries this year.
yeah, she was in the Family History Mysteries. She
Mhm.
also did was it something Canyon Mysteries?
Yeah,
Not
no, yeah, it was
Mysteries,
like Canyon
Christmas.
one. Yeah, I remember.
Canyon
Yes.
Christmas last year, and then she was in front of, what was it, Right in Front of Me, or Front of the Class, or the one with Mark Gazzini. She was in.
Oh yeah.
I forget what it was called.
The Holly and Ivy was my favorite.
Yeah, that one was
that
really
one
good.
I highly recommend you guys watching that. Bring me some tissues.
Yeah, it's really good. That's true. Yeah. So that was, fun to see the back and forth with these cheerleaders and everything. And then we have Terry trying to help Paul because Paul is in debt. And
The
she
credit card
pretends to be, to get these credit cards canceled. And she ends up getting arrested and getting 2 weeks in prison.
Girl, yeah.
But she
even
ends
Paul,
up,
the one time Paul was actually being, sound-minded. Should we talk to Jane about this? Like,
well, and she ends up interrupting their date.
yes.
Yeah. And Jane is upset with him that he wouldn't be more on her side with Terry.
Yeah, because Grayson told Kim what happened. With,
I mean,
Terry.
and he told Kim first, and because he had seen Terry doing this.
Mhm.
And the thing is that I don't think you just get 2 weeks. I think that you would get more than that for pretending to be an attorney. That's a big no-no.
I thought it'd be more time. Like,
oh yeah, I think so.
She was in jail the first time, with her cousin brother, but
right.
same time is like,
Mm-hmm.
that should be up there with the treason.
Yeah, it's a big deal to impersonate an attorney. That's not
impersonating a cop or a judge or somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so we also have Stacy bringing champagne and grapes, which was, I guess, the first time that Deb and Grayson had sex.
This episode. Every time talking about it, the whole episode, like, this is what you had, or he's taking me this, like, he bringing these people food. This is like the food that we had when we did it. I was just like everybody.
So that's this episode kind of ends on a cliffhanger, and I would give this is a pretty fun one. And also they had Chinese food, and it happened one night.
Yes, it was Chinese food.
Yeah. So then so it would be an I don't know, what would you give this one?
This was definitely around an 8.5, because I'm sorry though, but the family, it
was so ridiculous, but fun, because it was so ridiculous.
Always get the fun cases like this, and I'm here for it.
All right. Episode 6, Desperate Housewife. An unassuming housewife's arrest for treason pits Jane and Grayson against the government's top secret intelligence bureaucracy. Kim represents a family of foster children who are being kicked out by their new parents. And so this story, there was actually, this happened on it with Extreme Makeover. There was a family that took in all these foster kids so they could get the house renovation, and then basically dumped them right after. And so this was based on real things.
Like,
And they called it the ultimate do-over. And they basically used these 4 kids to get this, big fancy house.
We'll be doing that a lot, especially in like foster care. People, it's like you have 2 type of people. People out there who's gonna care enough to adopt the kids, or the other there for the check.
Mm-hmm.
Perks. So for this family, they definitely was there for the perks of collecting this check from each of the kids. Also, I'm gonna get a home makeover for me, my house upgraded from a 2-bedroom to a 4 or 5-bedroom. And mind you, these 4 kids had a grandma, but she was in this apartment, 1-bedroom apartment though, but only to have like 1 kid there. So now you get separated.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
it's one thing you being a foster in foster care, is another you have siblings, you guys are being separated.
yeah,
Because some of you're separated
Right.
permanently and you don't know where they're at. You're trying to find them after you're 18,
Well, it's just crazy that this actually happened, because I can't even imagine, like, because the chances that you would get picked are fairly small.
Yeah.
So to go to all the efforts to like get these kids, and I mean, just it's such a, like, it's crazy that this is a scam that actually happened and actually like worked in getting people a house. But we have Mike Faola on this episode as Dave, and I loved him. He was on a Hallmark movie with Nikki DeLoach, Reunited at Christmas, but he's so good in this. He's so charming. Him and Kate Levering have great chemistry.
Oh my gosh.
Really good.
Yes. I'm not gonna lie. I sat here rooting for them. I sat here from day one. I was like,
yeah.
Stop reading that book.
It's good. And then we have Stacy finds out that she's having twins, boy and a girl.
Yes, that threw me for a loop. I'm like, she was like, the cake people, they deliver it, we're gonna cut it, and then you see Owen in the background.
Yeah. Well, and like, this is a respectable gender reveal. Like, they've gotten out of control. People, it's just ridiculous. Just buy a cake, people. Like,
that's all you have to do. Cake, cupcakes. Don't please don't have fire. Like, stop burning down national forests.
Right.
Stop. Attack, people being attacked and stuff. Like, I don't care if you have to do a pinata or something. Like, do something like it's practical. Don't endanger the environment. Just be basic, okay?
Yeah.
You're gonna go all out. Like,
just get a cake and like cut it with your friends. Like,
ridiculous. Don't stop reading planes. Stop reading planes to tell us the boy or girl. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
that's right.
You want to have this gender reveal? I'm not waiting to start it. It just started because. Did it be like an announcement? Like, at this point, I'm gonna be saying, "Hey, can we just have like a royal situation in England? Like, this, we're announcing the baby today. Is a boy or a girl? Is their names? Deuces."
Right? Yeah, that's all you need to do. It doesn't need to be so complicated.
That's why we have the baby showers for those.
Yeah. Also, Stacy is worried because she's burping a lot, and that's burping means you have an evil baby.
That took me out. I was like, maybe the burpee was kind of a boy or girl, but an evil baby.
Yeah, that was very funny.
Evil baby sperm.
Yeah, that was funny. And so there's this woman, Susan, who she is their new client. She's basically the Homeland Security in this show tagged her because she had a friend in Saudi Arabia she was going to visit, and she was making her a yellow cake. And so all of these things like triggered her as being a terrorist, but she really wasn't a terrorist. And so that was a pretty good case, I think.
Yeah, because now I'm
pretty
thinking,
clever.
like, it's one thing the government is tapping our phones, or they're like watching us on YouTube with this episode. Hi, government.
Yeah, and there's this whole thing with this, they call it Grabzilla, Which
Yeah.
is like the search engine that has this
Like the
deal with the
Google search
government.
engine.
And so that was a pretty clever, instead of Google, to call it Grabzilla.
Yeah.
That was good.
Rachel, serious question, because I think everybody gets it. You know how like we're like you're thinking it in our mind, like, I want this or that, and you're just
Mhm.
scrolling, and the thing that you're thinking of pops up, and you're like,
Right.
how did you
Well,
know?
that's
Like,
why they always warn you about the cookies. When
yes.
you're on sites, this is that the site has cookies, and what that means is that they are tracking what you're looking at, what you're buying, so if you accept the cookies, then that's what happens. That's what's going on.
Well, Rachel, even when I said the cookies, I wasn't searching that item. It was just in my mind. I'm scrolling and it pops up. Go, but they're in
Yeah,
my mind.
true.
They're in my mind because there's no. I'm not even Googling it, but I'm thinking it in my mind. Is my mind
Yeah.
listening to my phone,
Well,
my devices?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you have to be so careful, because if you click on one thing, like I think I
Yeah,
can't
it
even
does.
remember, like somehow I clicked on one thing. Maybe I was looking for a friend or something like that, of like a baby food thing, and I had baby food and baby stuff for like the next 3 months, all for my all I got.
This
I'm
stuff
not
is true,
pregnant.
you
I'm not
guys.
even a child. Like, because it's darn cookies. But
They're leaving trails. They're leaving trails, you
yeah.
guys.
But I really liked when Jane was like the legal mannequin, and the
Oh
way
my God,
Brooke played
that
that,
was
like
beautiful.
that's really,
Brooke, you did that, sis. I was like,
that was really
go
cute.
ahead with your mannequin, robot situation. Handle your business.
So they are able to get Susan's case dismissed. They get the settlement for the kids,
Yes.
and
And the
then
grandma get to move in that house and stuff. And I'm just so happy that everybody could be together. Like,
yeah,
they didn't have to do that. They should have went to jail.
yeah,
They should have went to jail.
for fraud.
They should have went to jail and paid restitution back to them 4 kids.
Yeah. I think in real life the people were punished of some kind. I forget, but yeah. So then Owen says, it's killing me that she just wants to be friends. Jane says, I say throw caution to the wind and make a move. Go for it. And then Dave says to Kim, I like your hips.
But remember, she finds out that he's from the tip agency. Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, she knows because he's her assistant.
Yes. After she walks in, like, wait a minute, what you doing here? Like,
yeah. And she says, and he says, I don't date someone who wouldn't date the help. And so then she ends up asking him out at the end. And then Grayson kisses Jane, and they're going to be together. So this was a pretty fun episode, I would say.
Definitely.
I'd give this one an 8.
Definitely an 8 for sure.
Yeah.
Like, you just keep bumping it up. We're literally almost halfway mark. Like,
this is a really good season. This season is really for, like, some of the other seasons you could come in and just watch an episode, but I feel like this season you really is for the fans.
Yeah, you're
who've been
invested
in these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, hearty, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/Hallmarkies.
Episode 7, Sister Act. And this is Jane and Grayson help a dying teenager find a bone marrow donor, while Owen fights a friend's impeachment as mayor after she leases Malibu City Hall to replace a school that was destroyed in a fire. So I do like both of these cases. I think both these are really good. And basically with the teenager, she's trying to get bone marrow, and the donor backs out, who was a nun. It turns out she's pregnant, so she's obviously leaving service.
That threw
And
me off. I was shocked, you guys.
yeah,
I was like, wait, how'd you get pregnant? I thought you would be a nun and like, protect, your virtue, like,
Yeah.
right about the pastor. I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But it turns out that her father, the teen's father, was a sperm donor, and they have complete confidentiality and anonymity. So they're able to have the judge contacts the father. He doesn't want anything to do with it. And then they find her sister, and her sister, half sister, is willing to be a donor, but the mom doesn't want it. And I didn't really understand why. I mean, I guess she doesn't want her daughter to go under surgery, but I think it's fairly like minor. I don't think there's a chance you could die. I mean, I guess any surgery there's a chance you could die, but it's pretty small. So I'm not sure why the mom is so against it. But
I was like, I don't know.
Made for drama.
Yeah, it was just like she was like, no, like, where's my daughter, Miss Bingham?
Yeah,
Get my daughter. I was like, she came to us. Like, we just reached out and see who's going to talk about it. But just that moment, like, not only does the child, the client, get saved, but these two moms are now bonded because of their kids are half siblings, and that's just a positive. All the negative was happening, all the turmoil. They started a whole new family. They could be together, and that just warmed my soul.
Yeah. And then there's this whole thing with the mayor. This was a busy episode. So the mayor, she agrees to give away the city hall, the old city hall building, for the school. But she wants it to be her legacy because she thinks she has pancreatic cancer.
She don't.
And then basically there's this council meeting where they're going to vote on it. And so the mayor locks the councilman in the cellar. And because she does that, she can win the vote.
Yes.
And she gets arrested because of that.
I wonder what happened to him. He came there. I'm like, what else did I do? Like, did he get hit by a car? Like, what happened? Because he
So this is the episode actually where Owen uses the vacuum to quiet the baby.
Oh, yes, was that?
Yeah, it wasn't another one. But anyway, and Kim tells Jane she needs to fire Terry, which of course that wouldn't even be a question. I mean, of course, if somebody was impersonating an attorney, and serve time for it, you can't have them in a law firm. That would make no sense. And so then we have they're suing the hospital because it turns out she doesn't have pancreatic cancer, the mayor, and so they got the files mixed up or something.
Yeah.
And then they finally agree on a deal to help because of the suing the hospital. They agree to help with they make a deal on the mayor's case, and then she's put back in, but she's going to run for mayor. I mean, not mayor, Congress. Yes. She's running for Congress, and then that Owen uses the vacuum to quiet Noah, Kim's baby, and then he says to Stacy, "Life is short. I want to be with you, and I swear I won't do anything to hurt my children or you." And she says, "You had me a vacuum cleaner."
Oh,
good.
You won my heart with the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. And then we also had at the beginning of the episode, Jane tells Grayson, "I love you," which she always said.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, can we talk about how the next day, because they had their sleepover thing. Tell me, y'all, Grayson was glowing, you guys.
Yeah.
Grayson, you couldn't like wipe that smile off his face. He was over at cloud 9.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so then, and she thinks, oh no, this is too fast. She ruined it.
Yes.
But then he at the end says, I love you too. It was so cute. I died too. Yeah, it was really cute. Really cute. So do you feel like they pulled it off in switching Owen and Stacy and Grayson and Jane? So, because for a while we were like really team Owen and Jane, and that was a pretty big risk to have him all of a sudden be with Stacy. But do you think they pulled that off?
They pulled it off very smoothly because they developed it from a friendship to then, to where they're right now making it official. And the fact that where Stacey started from the beginning of the season, season 1 till now she's developed this from being like a ditzy character to like she has her own voice, her own agency, and she's able to, make decisions. Like she was a businesswoman. She wanted to be a mother.
Yeah. Well, and Lex Medlin is just so great. I'm convinced he could have like chemistry with anybody.
I know.
Like he can have chemistry with April Bowey and with Brooke Elliott. And
I'm just saying,
those are like really different actors.
Very.
So the fact that he could have chemistry with both of them so effortlessly seeming is really impressive.
I'm so excited. Yes, definitely.
Yes. So what would you give this episode?
This episode, definitely gave this episode an 8. Definitely.
Yeah, it was good. All right. Next, this episode 8, we have Identity Crisis. As Grayson worries his client is guilty of murder, Jane fights for a student's right to use the boys' bathroom at school, even though he was born a girl. So basically you have transgender boy that wants to use the boys' bathroom, but the private school he's going to wants to declare that they can declare their own rules because they are private, and so they can do that if they want, but they obviously aren't. I mean, it's such a stupid argument that, if I don't know, it just seems like such a stretch to like, if somebody is that you wouldn't even know was, how do I say this? I just think it's something most people wouldn't even know that the person was transgender or care, and they make it out to be this like threatening thing, which is just absurd.
Yes, and just like as we kept going through the season so far, this even Drop Dead Diva as a whole has aged so gracefully. The things that we were talking about almost a decade ago is still present to this day, and it's just sitting here like, oh, we're still going through this to this day. Like,
it's true that like very few episodes of the show are like cringe.
Yeah.
Like a lot of shows, even when I covered The Nanny, there were, I absolutely adore that show and love it, but there were episodes that didn't hold up, that were a little awkward. And that's true with like almost any show. And that's a show from the 90s. So it's maybe a little different than this, but still, it is pretty impressive that they managed to touch on issues and almost always we're on the right side of issues, if that makes sense.
Exactly. And the fact that like even to this day, like depending on where you go to now, like there are men bathrooms, women bathrooms, and also there's nursing bathrooms, also gender neutral.
I have to say, gender neutral bathrooms are like my favorite. I try to see if like anyone else is trying to use them, because I wouldn't want to, somebody that really like needs them. I want to have it available. But if nobody's in there, then I love going in those gender neutral bathrooms, because they're so like, they're very luxury. Nice.
Ooh,
like at the airport, the gender neutral bathrooms, you get like your own space. It's nice. Yeah,
it's like an upgrade to like the
breastfeeding
room or something. Okay.
Yeah.
But like that could have been an option, because they kind of find their way through this case of like, well, you have the pictograms, and then you see.
So that's the argument that Jane uses, is that they have pants and skirts on the bathroom. It doesn't say men or women. And basically her argument is he's wearing pants.
Mhm.
He's using the correct image. And so, yeah, I thought this was all very, very well done.
Yes.
Um,
The people got
and
fired and stuff, and
yeah, and so then the school sues them for quote unquote lying on their application, and so they are suing for the misrepresenting gender.
Mhm.
So it goes back and forth, and then you get the boy testifies, and he says my body is a mistake. And that was, I thought the child did a very good job, the child actor.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. He
Yeah.
hit me for that. He hit me for this episode.
Yeah, you did a good job.
Yes.
And so then we have so Grayson wonders why Paul is there, which makes total sense. So
Yes. All the time.
Yeah. And so Paul says, don't tell him, because then he'll be forced to leave,
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
So
Just like Fred, like not once but twice.
yeah. And then Paul eventually does give her she says basically, I would pick Grayson over you, even though I've enjoyed you. But Paul gives her his blessing. And then we also have Grayson, that he's defending this murderer, and he thinks that he didn't do it at first, but then he realizes that he did actually do it. And this is hard for him because he doesn't want to be defending a murderer. But then Owen gets very upset about this and says it's your
Yes.
job to defend the murderer, which everyone has a right to a defense.
They do.
And that's very true, but that would be very difficult about being a defense attorney and to defend if you knew for sure
I know
that they had done it. Because I think most of the in most cases they don't know for sure, but they find the defense that they didn't do it.
Yes. In this case, he found out because they kept holding his client. And that's the thing that the prosecutors failed to mess up on, and got out scot-free because of their negligence.
Yeah.
And kind of do the runaround, and they kind of find out that the woman's father was on trial as well, and that took a revenge in itself, and that.
Mm-hmm.
that
So then the father gets upset, and when they're coming out of trial, because the murderer got off because of a technicality, and he shoots Grayson. So that's pretty intense.
Okay, I got two things about this episode. Number one, I love how all the rules are being thrown out the window now of Jane telling Grayson nothing how to happen, all stuff like that. Now, number two, when Grayson got shot, everybody's freaking out. They're over there arresting the dad, getting on the ground. You see Jane crying over Grayson's body as he's going away a little bit. Why was the extras in the background just walking around the back, mind their business, like, oh,
that's true.
Let me just keep walking. I'm like, I laughed. Hi guys, Marky, go watch the episode. You hear what I'm talking about. Like, I'm sitting here like, did they not just see a dead body? People got shot. They got ducking and covering. They just walking like, oh yeah, it's another day in LA. Someone got shot today, but I gotta go meet this fellow.
Yeah. I mean, you do get pretty jaded in Los Angeles. I think that's the thing.
It's like everybody's running and stuff, hiding and stuff, but you have like two extras in the back, like, oh, he's not shot, but I'm gonna.
Well, now they probably have everybody on their cell phones uploading videos to.
Oh my gosh,
TikTok or whatever.
In today's age, like, oh my gosh, someone got shot.
Yeah. But yeah. So, what would you give this episode?
I'm definitely giving this a 8.5. I want to make this a 9 because I want to cry so bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's a pretty fun episode. Okay, so then episode 9, we have Hope and Glory with Grayson in the hospital with a gunshot wound. Jane represents people living near a hot sauce factory who claim the fumes are making them sick. Kim lands in the middle of her parents' divorce settlement. So yeah, what did you think of this episode?
Oh my goodness. I swear, Kim's dad stays getting arrested. Stays getting arrested. He got arrested the first time in his old boss's house. Second time, little league stuff. The third time, indecency at the pool with your new wife.
Yeah. So he gets married to this younger woman, and his ex gets upset because she sees that he gave his wedding ring to the new her wedding ring to this new woman, and turns out that they never actually finalized their divorce. And they both remarried at this point, which is ridiculous. And so they end up getting arrested for bigamy.
Remember, it's one thing, Kim's dad getting married, remarried once, but Kim mama's over here doing some rich people stuff. I'm marrying old folks every time, like my fourth marriage.
Mm-hmm. Well, so Grayson also then tells Stacy that he wants to propose to Jane, and so he has her go get his ring.
Yes,
because he's in the hospital, obviously.
And mind you, just last episode, Owen proposed to Stacy.
Yeah. Oh, did we not talk about that? Yeah. Sorry. Owen proposes to Stacy in the previous episode.
We're sorry though, but we definitely some type of spoiler, towards
the
episode. But yeah, so because Gracie got getting shot, they're postponing telling people.
Yeah. They're waiting because Jane's obviously upset, and then this hot sauce factory is letting out fumes, and so they make them close down. Mm-hmm. But it's really there was this chemical company that's making the hot sauce fumes more potent. Yes. So it's really not their fault because they're employing all these people and doing all these good things, so they are able to get this temporary permit that allowed these exposed chemicals, but the temporary permit just kind of stayed permanent. Yes. And so they're able to stop all of this and reopen the hot sauce factory before they have to file bankrupt. And
it was just messy.
Yeah, a lot going on with that. And then we have Owen talking because Kim's just very over her parents. Basically, they're a lot.
And then Owen, I swear, Owen was close by to say, Kim, I'm about to just cut him.
Well, Owen says to Kim that his mom, that she annoyed and embarrassed him, but that he wishes she could be back. Yeah. And so then so then Kim says to her mom, you may be nuts, but I still love you.
Yeah, and this is the first time we actually got to see her mom.
Yeah.
Like how Grayson actually to get the box from his house for their engagement ring, and then they joke about how I can keep a secret. I'm like, how did you keep that a secret that that Deb was Jane? I'm like, they're joking about that scene. I'm like, she held it down. Stacy is a real friend. She held that.
Yeah, that's true. He does say that, how you did keep a secret well. And I guess maybe it's easier if it's a secret that nobody's gonna believe. It's easier to kind of keep.
Because she wanted to say it. She wanted to talk about it, but it's like she, there's some things that she, they always gossip. Her and Jane gossip all the time about celebrity gossip, though. But this was this is sister said right here.
I love when in the previous episode she's like, not everybody says open to metaphysical reveals as I am.
There you go.
It's true. And so then at the end, Grayson flatlines.
Yeah, I cried.
Oh
I cried. he flatlined. Like I cried. Like just when like he's getting checked out the hospital, just signing the paperwork. He didn't even get off the bed yet.
Well, see, I asked Josh, did they always have a plan to end the series this way with them both in different bodies? Because that was a big risk.
Yes.
But he said that was always his plan, that they would have both of them in a different body. So, all right. So what would you give this episode?
Oh my God, I'm gonna get 9 because, or 9.5 because like everything from like they didn't propose, all this stuff was happening. We saved, a community, but Grayson flatlined on us, right?
Yeah.
Right when he was like, have a secret, like I want to videotape the talking to the nurse, like he's gonna propose to me, and like he was gone. And all you saw this white light. You're like, oh,
yeah,
that was a cliffhanger for us saying that we're going to go back up above.
So then the next episode is called No Return. And it's as Jane takes on a client who's being sued for identifying the drunk driver who killed her brother. Kim represents a ventriloquist who can't fly without his dummy. Mm-hmm. So we have Terry Fader on this episode, and he won America's Got Talent. I think he was the first winner or second. He was early on.
He was early.
And he is so good at ventriloquism.
I'm like, how are you doing this? I'm like,
seamless.
Yeah, I'm like, you got skills. I cannot.
Yeah, and so basically what has happened is that he always gets a seat for his puppet, mm-hmm. and he's had 2 separate frequent flyer accounts. And so they try to cancel the frequent flyer miles for both of them, and then they end up taking him to court about that. And then I have to say, like, I do think he was like flawless, but I did find it a little annoying.
Yeah, at times, like when they, all the little jokes and stuff, I was like, okay, we get it.
Yeah, it was a little much, and especially him doing it in court, and
you gotta be serious
with the judge and everything. And so this episode is actually definitely, I think, the weakest of the season. Mm-hmm. But then we have Grayson going up to heaven and seeing Fred there. So that's the highlight of this episode.
We got to see Fred, you guys.
Yeah. So that's good.
We got to see Fred, and that made me happy.
We also have Owen giving his fit clip to Paul.
Oh goodness. Can we talk about this? We gotta talk about the little secrets, like, there was for like, wear this Fitbit, like the thing that you like, what thing? And then like what, like it was just so cute. Like okay.
Yeah, I mean, evidently Owen doesn't have any problem with Paul living there for some reason.
Yeah.
Grayson does.
Not being jealous. Grayson is not.
They're like butting up.
Okay, they linking up, they becoming friends. Like Grayson, get on the same page.
Yeah. So then we find out that basically Terry Fader's character is on this like list of people, like they call it the hit list, because they have so many frequent flyer miles that they want to get rid of them, find some way to nullify them. So that's what's happened.
Is it a real list though in real life? I feel like it is, but no one's saying anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so then we also have
it's been 7 days, y'all.
So Fred tells Grayson to push the return button.
Oh yeah.
Yes, and
he got one.
Yes, and then
we have a serious question though. So I love the fact that like Grayson is telling Fred like, yeah, Stacey is with Owen, she's pregnant, and he's like, wait a minute, how is this happening? I'm not sure if Fred's not paying attention to what's going on down the world.
Well, I don't know if they can see. It doesn't seem like he knows.
It's a good question, because all the people who passed away can see. But that's a good
question. That's true, because because you do see old Jane in heaven complaining about it. But maybe not the angel people. Maybe they can't see. So, I don't know. He didn't seem to know what's going on. Yeah, that's true.
He was all crushed. She was, but
like, he tells Grayson to push the return button, and he says, "Give her a hug for me." And then Jane gets a call from Ian. I hit the return. I'm back.
Yes.
So, and then Jane also tells Stacy, "You shouldn't argue over a fit clip." Okay, so yeah, what would you? This episode for me, because I did find Terry and the puppet to be kind of annoying. I would give this one like a 7.
Yeah, I was gonna do a 7.5. And also it's kind of sad because, you know, I think we're talking about the next episode though, but I wish that Bobby was in the episode, because you know how they have grown close since Dad's passing and stuff, and she was been conflict of issues because her maybe some projects she may have had, it wasn't available. But it would kind of be, you know, good to, you know, for Bobby to check on Jane, like, I heard, you know, I'm here because of Grayson, like, you know, had that, because they remember Jane and Bobby made those connections throughout those other cases that they had together. So, but losing Grayson and stuff. So, because remember, she knew. Remember, Bobby knew that she had feelings for Grayson. So it was kind of like, where was Bobby?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. So then we have Afterlife. Jane attempts to prove the innocence of a man on death row. Kim represents a small dance company after the routines are stolen by a pop star, and Owen has wedding anxiety. So clearly this pop star, Empress Katya, played by Becca Tobin, she is clearly supposed to be Lady Gaga.
She is, yeah.
I mean, clearly. So she is like stealing other people's choreography, and kind of goes back and forth. I think it would be kind of a hard thing to prove unless it was like really distinct choreography. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like that it would be hard to prove that they are exactly the same.
Well,
or she would be pretty stupid to do like absolutely the same. So unless she would probably like add a few different things enough that I think it would be hard to prosecute. But anyway, that's what happens here.
Yeah, because it happens like was it the past couple of years with TikTok, where certain creators were creating these dance moves, but their other like counterparts or anything like that were getting more crediting the TV shine versus main creators who did it.
Because you're like, it's one thing if you have a trademark basically on it, you have it protected,
but she's in the prior.
But then you have Owen. Anytime wedding stuff is brought up, he has heart palpitations, and I think that really they should just get married. Like
at this point,
you don't need to have a wedding.
Y'all can have a reception at the house. Like, I don't care.
Just go to the courthouse, get married.
Go pick up one of the pinkery cakes that say she used to make. She could have made the cake.
Yeah. So basically, Ian almost got executed, but
again,
but it didn't end up working. That's why the swap ended up happening. And so they're trying to find out what happened. So they're looking into the case. But the thing that didn't make sense to me is that Ian wouldn't have Grayson's legal knowledge, because that's the whole thing, is that Deb is inside Jane, but she has Jane's legal knowledge, right? And so Grayson inside Ian would have Ian's knowledge, not Grayson's knowledge.
So going back to the very beginning, remember how Fred talked about how you have all the Deb's soul stuff, but you got the add-on of Jane's knowledge.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So Grayson going inside Ian wouldn't have Grayson's legal knowledge. He would have Ian's knowledge.
Like a catch-22 situation, because Deb still remembers all of Grayson's friends and stuff like that, and all the little fun quirky stuff. So he had to remember at least a little bit of his old life, all his memories that he knew.
Yeah, he has the memories, but he wouldn't have the knowledge, right? That's how I don't know. It's interesting that I think they kind of forgot, and they messed up in the logic a little bit of this, but it doesn't really matter. But basically, Ian, the suspect is with the wife of the guy who was murdered. So
President.
she's a suspect, but then there's this whole like gentleman's club kind of thing. And it turns out that the head of the club was actually the murderer. And so they're able to pin it on him and get Ian released. And then Owen sees Jane and Ian kissing, and he's very upset by that because this would be a major rebound.
Yeah, that's like 2 weeks after like racing died and he got
Yeah.
buried.
So what would you Kim ends up winning against Katya. What would you
Yeah.
give this episode?
I'm definitely in this episode at 8.5 because child, like it was getting real. Like,
Yeah.
like Grace almost died not once but twice. And where would he went then? Because remember, there's no return, but then he would have died. And then
yeah, it's getting big. So I agree. Okay. So then we have episode 12, Hero. And this one is Jane helps a mother whose son died at a sporting camp to seek justice. Kim defends a work acquaintance after he saves her from a mugging as his superhero alter ego. Owen and Kim become increasingly concerned about Jane's relationship with Ian. So basically you have Kim getting held up and she gets saved by the superhero. It turns out that it is Hank who old Sheriff Hank who bailiff Hank who saves Kim, and that he is Midnight Flyer and he's suspended for being Midnight Flyer. It turns out that he wanted to be on the LAPD. He took the test, but he wasn't accepted because he did too well on the score.
yeah, not once, twice, 3, 4 times did well.
Yeah. So then you also have this I liked the line where this is it's like walking to an episode of Game of Thrones with less nudity and more paperwork.
This is totally true.
Yeah. So then this football player, he dies in this camp. Turns out he was taking this supplement called Power Blast. And so he had this diuretic. Sometimes people will take the diuretics to conceal steroids. So I was thinking maybe that's what it was. And so then the camp owner endorsed Power Blast. He was like a former football player, and so they're able to by the end get Power Blast shut down.
Yes.
And it was pretty clever how she did it because she made them sign this this statement in order to make the case go away. But then once they have that signed letter, they're able to go to the FDA and say that and shut down Power Blast. So that was clever, very clever.
Definitely, because this happens like mostly like all the time. Like, maybe not in the supplements stuff, but like either like Red Bulls and stuff, and how like the performances. So that's happen. And last but not least, like Jane leaving the firm. Like,
so then at the end, because Owen has this talk with her about Ian, very concerned, Kim offers Ian $10K to make him go away. And so then Jane quits the firm rather than quit Ian.
Because remember because Paul was trying to like get on the good graces, like, no, like, even a great guy, and
so what would you give this episode 1 to 10?
I am definitely giving this a 8.5/9. This is
a fun one, and it's fun when they dress up in the costumes. Owen and Kim.
My goodness, yes, that was the highlight of that episode. I tell you, Owen has always get the best cases. This is number 3 on my faves.
Yeah. Okay, the finale is there. The finale, It Had to Be You. Much to Jane's surprise, Terry returns, and that she shares a past with. I'm reading this again. Much to Jane's surprise, Terry returns, and that she shares a past with Ian. Paul sends pro bono clients from the firm to Jane, and Stacy stresses over the fact that her best friend might not come to her wedding. So we have, this happening where now Stacy's kind of in the middle because Owen and Jane aren't talking. What's going to happen? And what if Ian's at the wedding? And then we have this man who's fired for believing in Bigfoot.
Yes, Dave was fired, y'all. Remember his couple of days, boo? Yeah, he was fired.
Then we also have these people that are being sued for the sea defenders. And Owen is representing the corporation. Jane is representing the sea defenders. And she tells, I think it's Owen, she says, "This is my life and I'm going to live it the way I want."
Period.
Turns out Terry hates Ian. They had bad blood together.
No puns.
And then Stacy and Paul are throwing this party, and then we have this woman Dina. She takes the rap for the Sea Defenders, so it ends up being her case, and then she ends up getting arrested, Dina, by Japan for interrupting the whaling or whatever.
Yeah, because they have a certain amount that they have to they can catch and kill to sell.
Yeah.
Over that max.
Yeah. And so then they're able to make it this like political act for Dina. And then they find this invoice that's been left and at her house. And it turns out it's from Owen. That after they fight, but
they make up.
They make up, and he does this to help, and then they find there's the whole Bigfoot case is going. They find an expert who will testify of Bigfoot, and then it says, "I'd rather live in my client's world where there's endless possibilities exist." Which is very sweet.
And they kissed.
Yeah. Well, before that, Kim had tried to kiss Dave, and he had said no. He was upset with her, and but then after they win the case of the Bigfoot, then Dave and Kim kiss, and like they have really good chemistry.
They do.
Yeah. So then Stacy's water breaks in her wedding dress on the day of the wedding. And so then Stacy has the babies. It's very sweet and everything. And then Terry says she wants a longer leave of absence so she can pursue her music.
She's fired.
Quitting. And that was very sweet. Their goodbye.
Yes.
And then this final scene of Jane getting this piano for Ian, and he sings "It Had to Be You." We get this montage of Deb and Grayson together. So how did you feel about that as far as the ending of the series? Do you think it was a good finale?
Just closing everything out with the research they had. Yes and no, because I cried. Like, I love that little montage, they're together. They have the picture of them of Deb and Grayson. I want to know, did Stacey name the babies after Deb and Grayson? Because they're both a boy and a girl. I want to know we'll be together with Dave. But I have my theories. I'm not sure if Hallmark is going to hear me out. I have two theories. Number one, can we even have a movie, either one? Because there was no Christmas movie. Can we have a Drop Dead Diva?
Well, he said he had ideas, Josh, because I think it's tricky doing a reunion because you'd have Jane and Ian together, and
or have their wedding or something.
Involve Grayson.
Yeah. I want to know what happened. I want to know some type of 2-hour situation around Christmas time, have a Christmas wedding, something. I want to see these little pieces together. How they that's just
especially since he said he had ideas. I would love to see it. I'm very curious because I think it would be really hard. Because how do you involve Grayson as far as the actor Jackson? How do you involve him? I don't know. I think it would be hard, but I'm all for it. And especially, like I said, since he had an idea. But this has been so much fun. I know it's a lot of work watching these seasons. So thank you so much for doing this with me. And I hope you all have enjoyed it. And if you
know.
get to because this is another long episode, if you get to the end, put in hashtag Rachel Jazzman finale.
Yes.
And then we'll know you listen to the whole thing.
Definitely, because
But
this has been a great ride, and I would love to see some type of drop dead diva, some type of mystery happening or something.
yeah, just some
Like kind of like a
continuation
more of
would
a
be
little,
fun.
like
Yeah.
a 2-hour special for us. Like
Yeah.
I'm ready for that.
Well, so where can people find you, Jazzman?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Shreem16, SHREEM16.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all of our social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. Check that out. Also, make sure you're following the podcast at Hallmarkies Podcast, all of our social media. I'll put on our playlist for Drop Dead Diva, so you definitely want to check that out. And please, if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps us a lot. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. We also have our Patreon group and merch store, so check that out. And thanks everybody for watching all of these long recaps of Drop Dead Diva. We love the show, and it was so much fun. So thanks everybody, and we'll talk to you later.
Hi guys.
Bye.
Bye.